So we're splitting off here. We get in, get it done. I'm going to hold a distraction for as long as I can. Carta's going to cover the ranged artillery. Des is going to insert the spike or at least disable the station. As soon as this is over, we're going to lose the Concordat and the Cosmeo Ridge.
With Carta going out east and kind of going around, getting that eye out of the sky is his main goal right now. If there's a way that he can trigger a heat sensor or something like that maybe the drone starts to travel further out that way.
I think you fire off that flare, and it doesn't just create like a little pot of heat, right? It catches and spreads.
A very, very fine, almost indistinct sort of shimmer takes over the cover of the Mercuria, and it looks like almost like water. I'm going to start climbing up the ridgeline and get behind and get in position behind the Passerine station so I can eventually get out and do my thing.
And I think I'm imagining, the herd at this point is like coming up towards the edge of town.
One of these giant kind of like loping, invertebrates nailing like a sign right on the edge of town that says like "Welcome to Farron's Bluff."
And I think like this whole time, as we've been barreling down into town, Rhodes has had like that little transponder radio just like playing at low volume in the cockpit here. This is like the moment, right, where the herd's like broken into the square. And I think like the redshift is like taking its like first step over like into the plaza there. Rhodes like click on a switch, somewhere inside the cockpit to just like open up, right, like a loudspeaker on the outside of the mech. Let it be known to the off-world imperialists amassed here today. I regret to inform you the god you seek is not here. We're here to remind you that Imber does not belong to the Concordat.
Did he write that down?
I think he did. No, he must have.
And I think you see amidst all the chaos, there is a woman standing on the kind of like raised platform at the top of the stairs. Like she is wearing like a silver breastplate that is etched with something. And she has a long tabard that has like kind of a similar depiction of the same scene of this like starlight humanoid figure holding the hammer. And then I think she's standing there holding this like big gleaming silver spear, and as like the chaos is erupting around her and everyone else, she is just looking up at the redshift, and it is an expression not of like fear or like even kind of discouragement, but excitement. And with that, I think let's cut to someone else. Right before we jump, though, I do want to just I want to tick a couple clocks as kind of like a result of that. I'm going to tick the Stampede clock, another segment there, as another bit of time has passed. Also, the Ceremony Defense Force, I am going to also tick down another 2 segments as the people of the town start rising up against the other guards here and kind of distract them. I don't know, probably one of these turrets gets like hit with something during this, and the other ones are kind of like forced to reposition. And the actual on foot guards are forced to reposition or are taken down by the kind of like more vigorous rioters. And so you've made a big dent in like the kind of like ground troops who are defending this place. And so yeah, with that, I think, maybe we can kind of keep this like loose turn order and maybe cut back to Carta here. I think this is probably, potentially rewinding the clock a little bit, right? But Carta, there is a drone headed your way, and there is also like this like armored vehicle kind of that is moving more slowly because it's a ground vehicle, but it is also going to be heading your way shortly. And you know that this drone has to come down because it is the thing that could track and trace the drovers on their path northwards and potentially prevent them from kind of getting to the mountain passage, which is the other big part of your deal with them. What's your move here? The mission has started. The drone's moving in towards you. This fire is also starting to near you. So we don't forget.
I think first move is, how close is the drone to me now? I mean, not that it really matters if I'm going to use a vehicle gear, but
it's crossed. Let's say it's past the town. It is now kind of like moving east of the town to like near the area that you're in. It's not directly overhead yet, but it is moving in your direction, and it has gotten over the town and is closer to you.
Yeah, I'm nervous about shooting at too far of a range because I don't want to see whoever, the people who are coming out in the like Humvee to like see a giant, projectile taking this thing out. But I think I also just need to get it out of the sky regardless.
it's high enough in the air that you're gonna have to shoot it still, right? It's not hovering over the ground. It is like flying at like helicopter.
In this regard, I think I want to mark off some special ammunition here and call it a specialized like flak round for like anti-aircraft kind of shit.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that with specialized guns and stuff he has as a sniper for long range. There's I don't want to say that there's a bullet belt or bandolier or anything, but there are rounds that, the Semaphore has that can be rotated through. And this is meant to be a, like, essentially ground to air projectile that is going to take that. Maybe it doesn't have like a huge, like a tail, or it doesn't give off a lot of light, but it is just boom, contact, knock that shit fucking
almost like shrapnel-y kind of.
Yeah, I mean, from what I know about like flak, it's just like meant to be dealing with aerial enemies. So yeah, even if it is shrapnel-y, but just something that it's like maybe it's going to tear through the rotors of the engines and just cause it to fall, from that height.
So let's talk about this. So you should mark special ammunition, and I assume you're using your fine heavy cannon here.
Yeah. Do I need to mark fine heavy cannon and special ammunition?
Yes. Yeah.
So it would be both of those.
Yeah. Because the ammo is for the heavy cannon.
Okay.
So that is 3 of your 5 load.
Ooh, yeah. Damn. Okay. Well,
but the heavy cannon is like, this is your sniper rifle, right? This is the thing that we saw that you fired at those shipping containers during the first mission.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so that's kind of like, I think you said before. Can you describe it again?
Yeah, I mean, I think of it as just kind of like the way that Carta has his sniper rifle. The mech has its gun that it pulls over its back, loads up, and just it's a big, like, the kick of the gun is felt even for the machine, but it's ready to like take that, and it just looses this terrifying round at the.
So yeah, like a truck size like bolt action rifle.
Yeah.
Extremely chill.
Yeah, chill stuff.
I think, like your good friend Desmond, aka Truant, I think we got really bad at those call signs immediately.
Immediately.
Between the vehicle coming in your direction, the naturally risky nature of what you're already doing, and the fire that you started
right.
you.
Uh-huh.
I think this has gone from a risky position to a desperate position.
Okay, it's another desperate. So that's a.
But you have a fine heavy cannon that increases your effect, and so I think that brings this from what might have been limited effect, because the Concordat troops here are a higher tier than your squad.
Right.
I think that bumps you up to standard.
Okay.
And then you're using specialized ammunition, which gives you further increased effect. So I actually think this is great effect.
Sick.
And I don't think I'll make a clock for the drone here. I don't think it is necessarily deserving of that yet. Maybe if there's a failure here, we can talk about that. But so I think this is a desperate position with great effect right now. This is a vehicle action for sure. Feels like it might be
bombard.
Yeah. When you bombard, you use vehicular weapons designed to attack targets beyond human sight.
Beyond human sight, and they give the example of using a railgun to go through a building. I think it's that kind of like, if it hits and does what I want it to, this shit is just eviscerated.
So yeah, starting out, you got two.
I think I'm going to
pips in it.
Push as well, because this is something I specifically want this out of the sky, so it is not tracking me as I get closer to the town. I feel like I can deal with a little bit of the Humvee a bit better.
Yeah.
But specifically that, so that they can't also trace the drovers as they move through and pass the town, hopefully to keep them off the trail as they go to the ridge.
So pushing yourself in your vehicle, of course, requires expending a quirk instead of using your stress. So which quirk do you want to expend here, and like how does the camera see it?
And none of my quirks have
you did not refresh infrared sensors because you used that in the first mission. You were really shy on material last time, I believe.
Then can we call it maybe expend the quirk of physical camouflage, just because even though the fire is coming, I am in a good hidden position where I am like, I feel confident that like it's not going to see me. If I can get this shot off, I'm fucking rocking and rolling.
Yeah, and the drone's not taking any kind of evasive maneuver because it doesn't see you there yet, right? It doesn't expect you. Yeah, I think physical camouflage makes sense here. So
cool.
That puts you up to 3 dice.
Yeah, sadly, I don't think Relic or Truant are going to be able to give me much hand here, so...
Is the commotion in the town enough to, like, give Carta an opening? I don't know if that's like retroactive or.
I think probably not in this instance.
Okay.
Drone is kind of responding, and I think the timing doesn't necessarily line up on that.
It might just be 3. I mean,
3's a pretty good roll.
yeah. I think that's kind of just where I'm gonna have to go. So
Yeah, I could offer you a collateral die.
What do you boys think? Collateral diet?
What's it sound like?
I think the collateral die is probably in this instance. I think it's just that I'm gonna click that town alert clock further.
And that would be 5 out of 6.
It'd be 4 out of 6.
Okay.
That's like just the fire's growing. The sound of the gun going off is going to attract attention no matter what. That clock's probably going to fill soon, anyways, though, because
Yeah, I would take it.
Okay. Yeah, let's do collateral die. I want this shit.
All right.
/ roll 4. And we're rolling. 4.
It's a desperate, right? Yeah, that's desperate, we said. Take an experience point in your... what's the action you're using here? Your acuity. This is a desperate action. You get an experience point for doing that. A desperate consequence.
Damn, the kid really botching some shit.
So on a 4 to 5, the pilot does it, but there's a desperate consequence.
The desperate consequence. Carta all of a sudden has a really bad stomach ache.
He feels so icky. No, I think this is going to be 2 kind of interrelated things. But let's talk about it. You blast that drone out of the sky.
Yeah, it's at least fucking ash raining down. That's
right. It's a specialized round. You're hidden. You've got time to line up the shot. I think it's like sighted. It's like shooting like clay pigeons, right? And we see, we don't see the bullet trail because, like you said, this is almost like not quite silent, but like there's not this like flash.
Yeah,
it's just this like shrapnel flying through the air. And then suddenly this thing is smoking and spinning out of control, and comes like crashing down into the dust. And that collateral die, actually, good job taking it. Didn't really matter much one way or another in the end, because I am going to tick the town alert clock by 2 segments, and that means the town's military force, that the forces that are not in the town square, are going to be activated. And the way that I think that's signaled to Carta, the way that that that's happened, is that Humvee that was like driving towards you, this like, or hovering its way through the brush towards you, you see it on another one of these little foothills, like kind of, it's got like a direct line of sight to you.
Yeah.
And so this flare goes up. I'm taking that clock by 2 segments. It fires a flare into the sky, this bright green, like alert flare that shoots up and says like some kind of signal to the military. Presumably there's also like something happening on the radio, some kind of comms thing, but like that this flare shoots up and it alerts the garrison that like assistance is needed out this direction. And then you can see who shot the flare. There's a guy who's kind of come up out of the vehicle, who's kind of in the gunner's spot. He's holding like this flare pistol in the air. And then he throws it to the ground, grips the handles of this turret on this little armored vehicle, and opens fire on the semaphore. And I think that the semaphore is going to take the level 1 damage, which is like we haven't done damage yet. This tracks separately from your vehicle, tracks harm separately from your pilot. The level 1 damage, because I think this guy opens up. Ooh, you know what I think actually happens? This gun starts firing. And we haven't seen this yet. It's not firing physical rounds. Bursting from the tips of like the double-barreled turret mounted on this thing are, I think, these like crackling blue bolts of energy.
Uh-oh.
Terrible, but like very sick.
Yeah, this is like the first energy weapon we've seen. And, I think this is like a fundamental weapon. So it's, and I think you're going to take the level 1 harm. What is it? How does it do it here? Let's say blistered. The level 1 damage blistered. It kind of opens fire on the exposed semaphore, and I think its shots, they like burn away portions of like the outer armor of the semaphore, and kind of like, not doing impact damage. It's truly just like kind of like incinerating away pieces and melting like the armor in places. And there's like wires kind of sparking off.
Yeah.
Unless you want to resist. Which is always an option.
Which would mean that I take...
All right, give me 1 second. We haven't done resistance rules for vehicles yet, and they are a little different than they are for pilots. Okay, vehicle resistance No dice are rolled for vehicle resisting consequences. Instead, you exhaust 4 quirks minus the appropriate attribute rating to a minimum of 1. So your attribute ratings are acuity and expertise. I think expertise is like physical consequences. Acuity is kind of like hacking or technological consequences. Resisting this right now would put your mech into breakdown mode.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, not going to do that. I think that's maybe too early. I might just have to be blistered and have some of the wires fraying and maybe a little bit of, I guess, in the how I envision it for Carta in there, like, maybe some of the wires are there and some of the, like, the video array that he has are flickering a little bit, and he's having to do a little bit more management on any kind of magnification and whatnot.
Yeah, understandable. So maybe I think we cut here. This flaming drone wreckage has like crashed down near you. That green flare has gone up in the sky. The town's military is going to be mobilizing. Well, whatever part of it is not already in the town square will be mobilizing shortly. And Carta, I think, right, we maybe get like the semaphore turning in the direction of this vehicle that's just shot at it. And maybe we cut to kind of similarly looking down at Concordat foes, the Mercuria on the edge of this bluff, this kind of cliff face, having just crested the top. We've gone back in time shortly, kind of getting the timeline synced back up. The green flare hasn't gone up in the sky yet for you, Des, but it probably will in a second. Yeah, you're there. Like I said, I think the Mercuria has as you've kind of come up on top of the bluff right by the exterior of this compound, you've scattered some scree, some debris that has drawn the attention of 2 foot soldiers, 2 guards who are now coming out of that security hub. And I think one of them is kind of making his way, weapon lowered, but with some purpose, coming over to investigate where you're at. Like I said, you've got the broadcast building to your right. You've got generators to your left. There's this kind of fence right now ahead of you, in between you and like the compound proper, that is like a little bit higher than the Mercuria is tall. So you'd have to get over it in some fashion, or through it in some fashion, I guess. But what is Dez's play here? Like I said, you're not detected yet. The optical camo is still in play. They haven't actually like figured out that there's a thing there yet, but I think they're just they're responding.
I don't really think I'm equipped, or it'd be a very good idea to try and engage them in any kind of way, even in a stealthy or sneaky way. I'm just going to try and make it to the building and try and get in the building and deploy the spike, like just sticking to the toe in the line, because, I don't have a lot of time.
So like I said, I think, between you and the building, like there's a physical fence in the way right now between you and that building. That is like the first obstacle to like getting there. I think you could definitely scale it as a person, but there's obviously the threat of being seen. I think like just like scaling it in the Mercuria would probably physically affect it in a way that would be visible.
Just crush the fence.
Yeah, I was saying I could use the laser cutter and cut the fence open.
Yeah, laser.
I think I'm gonna try and get close enough, and I'm going to try and scale the fence outside of the armor, because doing anything else it's a bigger chance of me being seen.
Okay, so we know, I don't know if we've seen this one either, but I know that Dez does have it has like the pilot version of this optical camo. Are you going to cover your approach that way, or because like I said, there is a guard like moving in your direction, right?
Yeah, I am gonna use that.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how you're avoiding being seen by him in this action.
Yeah, I'm gonna stash the Mercuria right here, and I'm going to hop out, and I'm going to use my personal camo to get around this guy.
So like I said, there is like this, this fence that is probably like 15-ish feet tall with like razor wire at the top. And yeah, you've got a guard moving in on your position. Are you jumping at the bottom? In my head, I'm imagining like a bottom hatch opening up.
I think, no, that's just like the cockpit opens up like right in front of my eyes. Like two doors slide open, and I can just jump out like right there.
Okay, so how are you getting over that fence? What does that look like?
I'm going to climb it. Oh, God, there's razor wire at the top. I guess I'll just figure it out when I get up there.
Yeah, come on, infiltrator.
I've dealt with this before.
What action do you think you're using here?
Prowl.
Prowl, yeah. When you prowl, you move with grace and precision. You might climb a mech in the middle of battle. You might sneak past a security camera. Prowl makes sense to me here. I think that this is, like I said, a desperate action. I think standard effect. It would be limited to do it getting unseen, but you have the optical camo that I think keeps you at standard. So starting out, that's prowl. That's 2 dice on prowl. Do you want to push yourself? Do you want to?
No, I mean I think I'm already getting a 1 die from my special ability Daredevil.
Oh yeah. Do you want to read that for us again?
Daredevil, when you roll a desperate action, you get plus 1d to your roll. If you also take negative 1d to any resistance rolls or exhaust an additional quirk for vehicle resistance against any consequences from your action. So
okay, so you are going to take that here?
I am going to take that here. So I'm going to be rolling 3 dice. 5.
All right, that's a 5. That is a desperate consequence, to be clear.
Yeah.
But it's a success also, so that's a mixed success. I think what it is, it's the razor wire that's the problem, right? I think that as it does is, give me a little flavor here. You're scrambling up. What's your move to get over the razor wire?
My move to get over the razor wire is I think I just have maybe some sort of tool in my pocket that I'm just snipping just enough that I can squeeze through.
Okay. And what does this optical camo look like on Des also? I guess I want to get this full picture before I tell you how you get fucked up. Is it a suit that Des puts on, or is it like a substance? What's the thing?
I mean, I hate to draw the conclusion of whatever, the invisibility cloak from fucking Harry Potter or whatever.
Yeah.
But it feel like it's kind of
like a piece of handheld tech you're spreading out.
Yeah, I just feel like it's something I kind of, because whatever. I'm sure I could just say, oh, my clothes. It's a.
I just wonder, is it form fitting, or is it kind of loose?
I think it's not loose. I'd say it's maybe kind of baggy.
Okay, but it is a covering on you.
It's a covering on me. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. Wait. Is there an option that could be a jelly that I rub on my body?
That seems wild.
Like a spray or something. Yeah.
I was imagining, if you want to get real fancy, like a substance that spreads out from a device and covers you or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Or it's some sort of nanotechnology.
Yeah, some real fancy.
Oh man, that's way cooler.
I mean, I'm open for whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to get Des nude to rub this gel all over, too,
yeah, right. Hold on, I gotta put on the invisibility goo.
I imagine maybe there's a device that would spread it if it does work that way, right?
It wears off, and Desmond is completely nude.
It is a sort of. I think there's sort of a button that he presses on his person, and it spreads out. It's sort of I imagine it's sort of like a nanotechnology that multiplies from a source and spreads out over his body and disrupts the visual field that you're looking at him from, so you cannot perceive him.
I think of in the Matrix when Neo touches the mirror and then the mirror goes over his spreads over him. So yeah, what the desperate consequence looks like here is, again, I think I'm probably going to lean on kind of splitting it into 2 smaller consequences. I think you're going to take the level 2 harm sliced as you come up over the fence. I think you managed to wriggle past most of this razor wire, but there's one piece that you just you're rushing, right? And it's an intense situation because you've got this guy marching on you too. And so I think it's one piece, and maybe this is this is some fancy monofilament sci-fi space razor wire, but it just cuts this gouge right across your quads, right down.
Ow!
It cuts deep and it hurts, right? This is why it's level 2 harm, not level 1. You can resist it if you'd like, but it's not the only consequence here. So I'd like to give you the other one before you choose what you want to resist.
All right, give me the other one.
And the other one is that I am going to tick the Passerine Station alarm clock by 1 segment. As you're wriggling up through the wire, getting to the top of the fence. This cut happens along the side, and it creates a distortion in the field, right? I'd say this field is it does start to cover it up, but it's trying to keep up with it. And so it creates I think we get this guy, right? He raises his head to the helmet. That rifle is not raised now, but it's he's got his hand. It's brought up slightly. It's in a position where it's like he's ready to freak out in a second, but he's not quite there yet. But yeah, I think gun half raised, a hand goes to the side of the helmet, and you hear his voice, and it's like, command, I've got a visual disturbance along the fence here on the northern perimeter. I need a visual disturbance. Not quite sure what's going on yet. Keeping eyes on it. And so you're not exactly spotted yet, but there are more people coming in this direction, and you have taken a level 2 harm that will give you -1 dice to, I think, like feats of physicality, unless you want to resist that. You can resist either one of these consequences or both of them. It's just stress, baby.
It's just not quite down to the wire enough for me yet to resist. I'm just going to roll with it.
Then I think that looks like here is, maybe we, close. It's still a success. So I think, Des, you are able to like get down from the top of that fence, right? And I'd say this guy's not right by the fence yet, right? He's still a little closer to the building itself, and he's kind of holding position, waiting for backup to come. The door, or at least the closest door to the broadcast facility, is basically like right past and behind this guard who is kind of watching position for where you are at. So Des, for the moment, you are unseen, and beyond the fence, the Mercuria is similarly unseen. And I think as long as the Mercuria is like stationary, there's no immediate danger of it being discovered.
Mm-hmm. Unless somebody walks into it.
Yeah. Unless someone's checking around the outside of the fence and walks right in. But yeah, so just like to kind of restate it, right? You're now in the interior courtyard of Passerine Station. Yeah, you're in this fenced-in area. To your right, there's like this bigger 2-story building that from like your research and previous data. This is like the main facility, the broadcast facility. It contains the control hub that you would be looking for to try and insert this apparatus-based hacking device. And it also, like, built into the building is the giant broadcast tower that goes up and terminates in this, big communications antennae. And off to your left, a little ways, there is another like little complex. You can kind of like feel the humming coming out of this building. This is the structure that houses the generators that power the broadcast facility. And then all the way, at the other end of this lot is a little like guards watchtower, where you can see that there is like someone in this white Concordat armor like up in this little watchtower. And then to the left of that, there is like a smaller, concrete bunker kind of structure that is like the security building. That is where like the armory for these guards is, presumably. But yeah, so you're there, and like straight ahead of you, like say like 40 feet away is this guard, in this like white kind of almost ceramic looking Concordat armor, this like monocular, like lilac visor. And past him and to your right, I think you can see right there's like a set of like, a set of double doors. There's kind of like some kind of like keypad or like entry access device like to the right of the door. But like a primary entrance into the building is there like on the right hand side. Kind of in between you and that entrance is this guard who now has, I think, slowly started to advance. Has this kind of like bulky square assault rifle type weapon. Has not raised it though, right? It's probably like moving forward, holding it, but like, still kind of like barrel pointed towards the ground. Is not perceiving that there is like necessarily an active threat in the situation. And is also probably, I imagine, just timing wise, starting to hear a lot of radio chatter start to fire up because things in the town are popping off now. And, I think the timeline here is a little fuzzy. I don't think, maybe we haven't quite seen that green signal flare shoot up into the sky off into the east yet, but pretty soon we are going to. And so yeah, you're on the other side of this fence. You're kind of in the open, but I'm sure that there's like there's things around. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty open to talking about like what you might be looking for if there's like a particular kind of structure or whatever. There's probably some like, I imagine like supplies have been brought in here, like shipping crates and stuff. It's not like an empty lot per se.
Okay.
The Concordat have been working out of here for a while. So yeah, what is Desmond's move here? How is Desmond trying to, presumably infiltrating the facility is kind of the next step, right?
Yeah, I guess we want to put we want to install the spike before we, blow it up, I assume.
Yeah, in theory, that's probably the ideal order of operations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to try and get into the main building then. You said that there is a double doors with keypads. I guess I'm just going to try and crack that and get in there.
Yeah, there is that. So that is there. You will be passing by this guard to get to there.
Okay.
And like I said, I think that your optical camo is keeping you from being seen. But I think movement and that increases the risk of being detected. So if you're just gonna try and scoot past him and hold on to hope that the camo is what's keeping you from being detected, I'm not against that. But I think that'll mean that that guy is right on the table as getting spotted as a consequence if you don't deal with him is still on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever move you make, I think we haven't said it yet. You're in a desperate position. I don't think that has changed, right? You've got this cut on your leg. The optical camo is keeping it hidden now, but I imagine that kind of injury also is going to affect the camo's ability to keep you completely unseen.
All right, so I guess my two options if I want to go in through that door would be to either distract the guard or incapacitate him in some way.
Like I said, I think there is a keypad element here on this door, some kind of electronic locking mechanism.
Okay.
I think Des would expect that, and I think from your past experiences as a thief, right, you can probably clock immediately that is on the door.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that to get in through that door, you're either going to need to disable the lock somehow or gain access via a security credential, which I'm sure you would imagine this guard has on him.
Oh, yeah, I could steal the security credential from him or incapacitate him in some way.
Pickpocket or...
Pickpocket. Oh, man, so many options. Can I tell where his credentials are on his person? Does he have a lanyard?
He doesn't have a lanyard, right? But I imagine that he has, I said, the Concordat soldiers are wearing this, white ceramic kind of armor that kind of, calls to mind, sort of a traditional, plate armor with black fatigues on underneath, so it's kind of white and black layered on each other. But I do think that probably this guy has maybe it would be a utility sash, you know what I mean? Kind of not a bandolier, but a sash running across the chest and with multiple different individual pouches and containers, and maybe somewhere on there you would see some kind of credential key card device, probably on a zipper pull kind of thing that
I'm now thinking about the Concordat day in the life TikTok,
Yeah.
First I head down to the Temple of the Illuminated Way.
Daily carry video.
A green juice. And then after that, I go through some routine training on visual disturbances and anomalies. And then...
All right, I think that that would be a lot easier, and I'm gonna try and make this whole thing as quick as possible. And it's about to be absolute mayhem here, not too long from now. So I'm gonna try and incapacitate this guard somehow.
Sure. And what does that look like to you?
Geez, I guess I don't want to murder him right off the bat.
Off the bat.
I don't even think I could if I wanted to. I think maybe stunning him would be a safer option.
Yeah. What does that look like? What's the
I'm going to use an unusual weapon.
Okay.
And that is going to be man, I really like the idea of I don't know, some sort of localized gas.
Yeah.
Like a sleepy gas. Maybe a sleepy gas grenade or something.
Sleepy time gas.
Fire off.
Celestial seasoning, sleepy time grenade. So I imagine this grenade, it kind of rolls towards him and he looks down. He's like, oh, what the heck? And then it just sprays him in the face and he just passes out.
Celestial munitions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about, mark off, an unusual weapon. And let's say you probably you have 2 or 3 of these, right? Just by marking this load off, I'd say you got a couple of these that are, kind of some kind of knockout gas grenade is what we're going with here.
Yes.
So what does this look like and what role do you think it is?
Well, it is certainly under prowess. I think finesse, because I'm handling an object with agility. I'm throwing it in a controlled manner. Yeah,
I'll take that. I'm just going to say it here, though, just so it's on the table. This is happening kind of out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to tell me how you're making this less out in the open. And so, if things go wrong here, that opens up, if he's out in the open, there might be someone else who sees this hat. You know what I mean? That's, I think, kind of the obvious. You might turn up the heat faster than you meant to.
Well, yeah.
So finesse, that makes sense to me. Position-wise, like I said before, you're out in the open. You've been injured. This guy is kind of like walking directly towards where you are at. This sounds to me like desperate.
And I get a +1.
And I'd say probably standard effect here.
Okay. So I'm rolling 3d6.
You're going to use your Daredevil ability here?
Yes, I am.
So that will give you -1 dice if you try to resist any consequences from this.
Okay.
Yeah, so 3d6, you're always welcome to push yourself. Could give you a collateral here. And then also, unfortunately, the way things are at, it's really hard for me to imagine how someone could assist you on this.
Yeah. I'm just going to go in 3d6.
Sure. All right, so rolling 3d6.
4.
4.
Damn, dude. That's a miserable
I mean, I
layout
feel
right
like
there. That's pretty bad. 1, 3, 4. I don't know.
1, 3, 4. But hey, you got the 4. That's the important part.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
which is a mixed success. So talk me through what this looks like a little bit on Dez's end, and then I will tell you how it goes wrong.
I don't know. I feel like maybe I am standing around the corner. I don't want to be too close, but I want to be close enough. So maybe I'm standing around the corner and I kind of just toss it around the corner and then go back around the corner so I'm not too close to the gas. I don't knock myself out.
Is this like a roll thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a success. On a 4 or 5, the pilot does it, but there's a desperate consequence. Desperate consequences are rude.
But you get an XP.
Oh yeah, you do. Sorry, yeah, you take an XP in prowess. So you roll the grenade over in this guard's direction, and I think that this guard picks it up. Right, it rolls over, and the gas is supposed to go off right as it gets to his feet. Right, that's kind of the implementation. But I think it rolls over to this guard, and then just kind of hits his foot. And then nothing emits from it.
It's a dud.
This grenade is a dud at first. I think the guard picks it up and this kind of stumped, we don't see the guard's expression because he's got this helmet on, but he picks it up and he brings it to his face to start to look at it. And that's when it goes off. Right? Brings it up and then there's this puff of what color is the smoke that comes out of this thing? Is there a color?
It's just a white smoke.
So there's plume of white smoke. And then I think, the guard throws this thing away from him, right? And he's not gotten the full dose of it. The activator mechanism has not properly released. And I think you see this guard throw it away. And then as soon as he starts to throw it away, immediately starts to kind of have this drunken stumble. Has clearly been hit by it, but has not taken the full dose, and so is not down yet. One of the consequences here is I'm reducing your effect. Right, this has gone from standard effect. You would have knocked him out to limited effect. You have weakened this guard, but you have not actually taken him out yet. And the other thing that happens here is that the guard kind of again I think kind of swaying brings this rifle up and starts swinging it around. And is with one hand, one arm holding the rifle up against his shoulder, kind of aiming wildly, and with the other hand starts to go, press his hand towards the side of the helmet again. He's about to radio for assistance. What that assistance is going to be, I think, is going to tick over the clock on the Passerine station alarm to 4 out of 4. It's going to go hot. I will say now, you can try and resist that if you want here. But I think that's I'm going to put it on the table. If you don't do anything to resist it, I think that this becomes 4 out of 4. The situation becomes hot at Passerine Station. So do you want to resist, or are you going to let this kind of escalate?
Well, what does resistance look like?
So resistance here, right? We can talk about what it would look like exactly in the fiction, but mechanically to resist, you would be taking 6 stress minus the highest roll, rolling whatever attribute makes the sense for this resistance. This could be resisting by moving in close and knocking his hand away from the comms thing on his helmet, which I think would be a prowess resist. I feel like it's probably something physical to resist it, right? I feel like that makes more sense than resolve or insight to me in terms of what the attributes are. It could be, throwing something to like distract him from like the call he's about, doing something to distract him from the call he's about to make, dropping your camo for a second to like just shock him, but whatever it is, I think it's probably a prowess thing. It's about reacting quickly. And so you would take 6 stress minus a prowess roll, which would normally be 3d6 for you, but because of your daredevil ability would be minus 2d6.
Damn, that's really risky.
Yeah, it would potentially give you some serious stress.
Potentially take me out of the mission.
It would take you out of like for like a scene for sure. You would take enough stress you would fill your stress track, which is not a thing that we've seen happen in the game. And when that happens, you gain a scar, which is kind of like a lasting consequence of like how your character's been affected by this event. And yeah, you are out of the scene. You'd have to kind of like negotiate through the fiction what that would look like. And there's also another mechanic we haven't really talked about in Beam Saber, but which we would probably want to talk about here. Which is that in Beam Saber, unlike other Forge in the Dark games, when you completely spend all of your stress or break your vehicle down, you can continue taking actions, but they become dire actions. And basically, you are kind of like on your last legs. And if you don't roll a 6 on a roll while you're doing dire actions, then you still get knocked out. And you risk taking harm if you could proceed with these dire actions. But that is a way to kind of continue on even after you have like hit this like what would normally be the stopping point. But it's up to you. Like I said, I think if you don't resist this consequence, then yeah, like the situation is going to get hot. The security is going to get amped up at Passerine Station, and yeah, we'll see what that means fiction wise. Up to you.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty fucked either way, so pretty well fucked, lads. I'm just gonna resist it.
Yeah,
because
Go for it.
Be aggressive.
Yeah.
Be aggressive. 2d6.
2d6.
All right, let's fucking go.
Rock and roll.
4 and a 3.
Hey, that's actually pretty good.
Nice.
Okay.
In this scenario, a 4 is actually really good.
Yeah.
So you only take 2 stress.
Ooh. Okay.
So basically, like you pushed yourself. So why don't you narrate for me? How do you resist this consequence? Is this? I don't know if this is the first resistance we've done on screen. It might be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worth saying, like in Beam Saber and Forge in the Dark games, resistance is kind of a way of like the character and the player saying like, no, I'm a talented enough pilot. I actually avoid this consequence. You kind of get to like softly rewrite the fiction a little bit. So how do you resist this consequence? What's the thing that you do with your prowess that stops this guy from getting his hand up to the helmet and announcing that he's been attacked?
I mean, in my mind, I'm just like, but the only thing I can really think of is like, I just go up and I kind of like do it, like sweep the legs.
Right. Yeah. Subdue.
And like try and subdue him somehow. But it's not really my forte.
Do you have anything cool, like gear wise?
Yeah, maybe I could use a piece of gear.
Wait, what was your unusual weapon you used before? Was that the like
the handheld grapnel anchor?
Maybe there's something cool there.
Mm.
Shoot the ankle, rip it back.
I mean, you're not going to have to roll on this again, right? So it's just a visual of how you're doing it.
It's just how I guess I don't have to roll on this again. All right, I'm just gonna run over and just like kick him in the back of the knee and like subdue him and like just try and like. And he's wearing a helmet though. I don't know if I could like when it narratively if it makes sense for me to like try and like hit him in the fucking head.
I was just gonna say, I just want to be clear. Resisting here, it would be resisting the consequence of him calling for help. But in terms of like taking him out, he's still an obstacle on the table because you have reduced effect. That grenade didn't end him as an obstacle. So he's like punch drunk now, right? He's like half out on this knockout gas, but he's still up. And so I think like the resistance, if your resistance is running over there and like slapping that hand away from getting up to the helmet mic, that's like a very much in line. But like the next step of like subduing him, unfortunately, I think that's got to be a roll. I think that's got to be like Des.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm just gonna. Okay. Here's what I do.
Yeah.
You can resume now. I'm going to run up and I'm going to jump and slap his hand away from the receiver.
Assassin's Creed slap move.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. Get in there. Yeah. Like I said, I guess he throws that grenade away from him, and he's like swaying back and forth and kind of like sweeping the area in front of him with the assault rifle, but he hasn't opened fire because he can't see anyone. You get right up there, like, probably dodge around the barrel of that sweep. And then, as this second hand goes up to to go, you knock it out of the way, and then you're there right in front of him. What do you do next?
So, is there any sort of exposure in his armor anywhere?
Yeah, like I said, like it's like these like ceramic plates, but just like real plate armor, right? Like there are the spots underneath, like in the armpits, under the arms, like at the places in the waist where it bends, the hips, thighs, all these different spots where it's not this like ceramic armor. It is just like black, like cloth, right? Like fatigues underneath, right?
Bodysuit.
Yeah.
But his face and head are covered.
His face and head are covered, yes. He's wearing, like I said, this helmet, kind of like a sallet style that kind of slopes at the back with this like monocular like sliver of like lavender light serving as like a visor.
Yeah.
But, this is like action movie rules, right? Like stormtroopers get knocked out by getting bonked on the head all the time.
That's true. The armor's very weak to bonking.
I don't have any thing like bonk. I think I have to stab him in his throat.
Oh, God.
We're going for the R rating.
I tried to do this in a non-lethal way, and that did not work out. And we don't have a lot of time, unfortunately. So he is going to be a casualty of this conflict.
Yeah, brutal. Okay, sure. So I will say, I think that this situation has maybe moved up from from desperate to risky because you have like half knocked this guy out with this gas. But I guess it's kind of dealer's choice here. I know you get a bonus dice wise on desperate rolls, but like the consequences will be gnarlier.
Yeah.
I would also just say, if you're thinking about other things you have on your sheet, you do have a firearm silencer if you want to go that route.
I could shoot him.
But also, if you just want to stab the guy, I'm not against it. It's brutal. Also, this guy's like a fascist crusader cop, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel too bad about it at the end of the day.
No, I mean, I think also if I want to be more choosy about what gear I'm declaring, I think a pistol might be coming more handy later than like a knife. So yeah, I'll do a pistol. What's the pistol I said I had earlier? Hold on, I'm trying to remember.
It was like a little one, right? Like a little snub pistol.
But no, it's not a snub nose. It looks like just like a more regular modern semi-automatic gun. It's a little guy. It's a P290. It kind of looks like that. It's not totally like that, but it kind of looks like that.
Yeah, but it's got like a little glowing bit or something, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then are you going to use the silencer as well?
Yes, I am. Yes.
That costs no weight. It is
exactly
a 0 weight item in your pilot gear for the infiltrator class. So is that just like moving up into his space and then just like
just blowing his head off basically.
Damn.
I think this is like risky still, because he's waving this assault rifle on, right? I think you need to get the shot that's going to like take him out in one go, or else this again risks him like firing his gun off, him somehow setting the alarm off. What is the move here?
It's a struggle, I assume.
I could see struggle. I mean, so when you prowl, you move with grace and precision, etc. It also says you might stab an unsuspecting foe.
Ooh, okay.
Prowl is kind of often used as like the ambush the kind of option. I could hear an argument for prowl instead if this is about just kind of like being as quiet as possible as you move up and line up the shot to like just take him out before he.
Yeah, I think that he doesn't see me coming. He's dazed.
Yeah,
this isn't a totally fair fight.
No, not at all. Yeah,
yeah. So I think that prowl. Yeah, I didn't know that I could do that. Okay, he is certainly unsuspecting.
Yeah. So this is prowl, risky. I think standard effect again here. Do you want to push yourself? Do you want to take any collateral die, anything like that?
I'm just gonna go for it.
Okay, that is 2d6.
6, baby! Finally.
Yeah, you want to give us like a clean moment of narration here? Like, how does this play out?
Okay, I'm running over, and I'm like, shit. I go, slap hand off the face with my left hand. I jump up, slap with my left hand, and then with my right, I come under, place the tip of the gun with the silencer sort of in between the place where, right underneath his helmet, kind of angled up, and I pull the trigger, one shot.
Nice and clean in the helmet.
Yeah, nice and clean in the helmet. Bullet does not fly out of the back.
You see a crack form in the back of the ceramic, right, running down it.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's down. And I think, from there, he's got ammunition, random bits and bobs in those pockets. But there is a kind of bulky, I said key card before, but let's gussy it up a bit. I think it's actually like a heavy metal sigil, right? It's this heavy metal, it's like brass, and it is it's the 7-spoked wheel. And on the backside of it, right, it's I think that on the backside has his personal information engraved into the backside or whatever. And this thing contains the transmitter that will activate the key lock on the doors nearby you.
Yeah, and so I grab that and I'm kind of muttering under breath, you stupid asshole, you could have just laid down and taken a fucking nap,
Mm-hmm.
And I grab the thing and I run over to the door and I put it on, and I assume the doors just pop right open for me.
Yeah, there's a click, a beep, and then these double doors slide aside. And I think, we just get the shot of you looking down, kind of like a mundane, almost office building hallway, right? This is hallway headed down. And I think, maybe we cut here from Desmond, on the threshold, and jump into Carta, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Why not?
Carta, because you were just under direct attack.
Mm-hmm.
And you still are, rather, right? There is, this flurry of plasmic, blue energy bolts coming from this little armored vehicle has kicked up dust around you. It hit you last time.
Mm-hmm.
You've taken your mech has taken the damage, blistered. And so this armored vehicle, I think, did a round of shots. The kind of dust is clearing. It is, not right next to you, Carta. It is a little ways away, kind of on another slight ridge. I think this this kind of wedge-shaped armored vehicle is called a Mercado vehicle, or just a Mercado AV, armored vehicle. And this is kind of the standard Concordat armored vehicle you see in its regular military operations. So I think this thing is, they've opened fire, they've laid kind of this wave of fire, and I think they're kind of there's a beat here as the dust is clearing. Right. They're waiting to see if that first volley was enough to take you out.
I don't know if it quite works like this, but it's kind of that moment where they're did we is it down? Is it not working? And just that they're okay, we think we did it, and then just guns come up and just blah, 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 Gatling. Okay, wait, I'm thinking about this. Do I want to? Because my thought is, if the flare goes up, right? If there's a way that the flare goes up, I can shoot out their comms and take over and go yep, we made a mistake. Looks like some of the damn drovers left a fire burning out here. We're going to return back to base.
I think that moment is past.
Yes, all right, that's already passed.
That clock ticked. That flare is up in the sky.
Okay. Well, then, we're Gatling in them. You're just going to fucking...
So you're opening fire back on them? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think, and this is just going to be, battle.
So what are you using to do this with? What is this?
I'm going to say that this is a machine gun, heavy gun effect against vehicles, devastating against infantry at a relatively short distance. So
what does that look like, though? What is, what do we see action-wise here? What is this mech?
Right.
Is it pulling out, or is this something built into
the
chassis?
We already have the 7.4. Obviously, is with its slight humanoid, has the actual sniper rifle that it carries. I think this is maybe the rifle's still on its back, and it's just classic fucking two arms go up and right above where the wrist would be, just bah, 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 kind of laying machine down guns. Yeah, just machine guns.
Yeah, you were right. This does sound like battle to me. Mm-hmm. Right? When you battle, you engage in vehicular close quarters combat. I'd say this is risky with probably I'd say standard effect. This vehicle is kind of a slightly lower tier than your vehicle. Mm-hmm. You're not fighting against another armor. This is an armored vehicle that is not necessarily, it's probably more effective against infantry than it is against mechs like this.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say risky standard is what I think this is starting out as. And you have one dice, you have one dot rather in battle. Would you like to push yourself by expending a quirk here? I could offer you a collateral die.
Yeah, I guess You know what? I guess I would take a collateral die because I don't want to burn through a retrofitted armor if I still feel like I'm going to have to come up against other people at this moment.
So I think the collateral die here, if you take it, is going to be that there are troops mobilizing at the garrison nearby. And if you take this collateral die, it's going to be that the troops mobilizing, like one of them is going to have time to get in position headed your way. Like basically you'll lose out on the chance to kind of stop them as they are leaving the garrison.
Fuck. Okay.
So anything that's headed out from the garrison will get the chance to leave the garrison before you have a chance to like fully interrupt it.
Okay. Well, then I think I would rather have them stay there and try to deal with the things here in front of me. In that regard, and since this is a vehicle action, it's not a stress thing, right? So it's just the quirk.
You can only push yourself with quirks when you're doing a vehicle action, yeah.
Fuck. Okay, then I guess I'm going to do that. I'm going to custom retrofit armor. I guess in the way that I would use that is that because it's a surveying original, like this wasn't mounted with guns. He found a way to, get in some extra firepower under there that, maybe also belies the fact that they are there. Not that it necessarily gives me any advantage, but people aren't expecting it. So when arms just go up.
Yeah. So you're saying like they're integrated, right?
Right. Integrated in a way that kind of machine usually does not have.
And you were holding that rifle to shoot that thing down. So maybe it's like they don't even see you reach for another gun before you're already firing. Yeah. That's a cool. Yeah. So you can take an extra dice from that.
Okay.
So it gives you 2d6 risky standard.
Yeah. I think that's really all that can be done. Right. So let's see. 4 and a 5. Okay.
I think you just blast this machine, right? It is like a smoking wreck on the hill almost instantly, right? Like, it's in the same way we saw that volley of fire and them that kicked up all this dust. I think, Carta opens up with these machine guns. There's this huge cloud of dust that gets kicked up by the guns, just like firing into this hillside with the armored vehicle there, the Mikado. And then, that dust gets darker after a moment and we realize it's smoke coming out. And, once it starts to clear, it's just like a flaming wreckage on the hillside where this vehicle was. And so you've taken that out. It is no longer an immediate threat to you. And as a consequence here, I think probably what happens is that I'm going to introduce some clocks, some new clocks to the ongoing bevy that we've already been working with. So we haven't talked exactly about what your line of sight is to the garrison, but I think we did say that you kind of have like a line of sight towards the town, and towards the garrison, which is on the edge of that town.
Line of sight just with thoughts that if needed, I can bombard some people at a distance as coverage or distraction, however that might be needed.
Yeah, and so I think what you see, right, from where your position is, I think the garrison has like these big stone walls around it. Like I said, it used to be like a manor, right? And so I think there's also, some probably some like tree coverage that kind of blocks out your direct line of sight to like the actual garrison buildings. And, I don't know if these trees are all natural. Maybe some are like artificial, right? Like they're to provide this coverage. I would also think maybe it's just a sign of like a lot of excess water at one point went to maintaining this this vegetation at this manor in an otherwise pretty dry
the cockiness of trying to build an oasis your own in the desert, kind of Concordat style.
But I think you can kind of see like these shapes starting to move at the edge of the garrison, right? And let's say after a moment you kind of catch sight. There are 3 armors that have started to leave the garrison. They're heading out through the front gates of it, and you can kind of catch sight of them as they're starting to move. I think without a roll, just at a distance, you could just get like a brief hint here.
Okay.
But aesthetically, the first thing you see is like very much in line with what we've seen of the Concordat already. These are these kind of white machines made out of this like ceramic armor that is kind of like the trademark of the Concordat's like weaponry. All 3 machines kind of humanoid. And I think 2 of them, like from a distance, you can see they are holding, they have big circular shields on their backs. And a third of them that's kind of trailing behind the other 2 is holding like from the distance, I think you can see quite well, but it's holding a very large weapon, like a long barreled like weapon of some kind. And these three mechs are heading out the front garrison gate, and I think as Carta's getting a line of sight on them, they disappear from your vision. But the reason they disappeared from your vision is they're obscured by smoke.
Okay.
The fire that you started earlier has grown, and it's joined with the fire spreading now from that tank you've destroyed. And so there's this inky black cloud of smoke that has started to erupt around Carta as these flames are growing. You're not, I think, an immediate threat from the flames, but I think also that you can't hold this position for long. And so, with that smoke interferes with your vision, and then it clears again. And I think you get a line of sight one more time, and you can see that two of those mechs that you saw before, these armors, these Concordat armors, have moved a little further westward out from the garrison. They're starting to move into the edge of town. They're headed towards town.
Okay.
The third, however, has disappeared from your sight.
No, the one with the shield who's just coming out.
No, the ones with shields are still moving westwards towards the town square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's the one with the imposing and kind of large weapon that's disappeared.
Yeah. I did get that. I was being hopeful.
And where's the Lepidoptera drone right now?
Done.
It crashed into the ground.
Carta, it's downed. Okay.
Yeah, the drone is down. That was a success, and the consequence from that the tank showed up and started blasting Carta. But the drone is down, so they don't have any kind of aerial sight on what's going on with all of y'all.
Well, I at least, on the comms, 2 armors incoming. Looks like they're carrying some pretty heavy shields. I'll do what I can. There was a third that I can't find right now, so that might be a bit of a distraction, but I'll lay down any, cover fire I can. I'm getting smoked out of here. I got to find a better spot.
And so, what is Carta's move next there?
I think that if Carta's thinking that if he can get away from this smoke and kind of head from where he's in those hills, try to move a little bit north and slightly west himself to get kind of towards the ridge line, so that he can either try to get a slight above view of whatever might be coming towards him, or if depending on what he sees coming his way, duck in the a little bit behind it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So I think that sounds kind of like a maneuver roll to me. I guess I could also say you tell me what you think this is, I guess. Is this about maneuvering? Is it about using your scanners to find the right spot? Or is it about moving to get into position safely?
I think it is. I think it is maneuver. It's just trying to move, still kind of stealthily, so that he's not making giant moves, using any kind of brush cover that he can with, his physical camo still there, and still trying to keep an eye on the horizon and not turning his back towards any possible enemy.
Okay, I think that I will say, having taken away the immediate threat of that tank, I think this might be controlled standard for the moment. I think, you've eliminated the immediate threat to you. Not to say that there's no threat,
right,
but you're kind of moving, you're not the one who's in the town square under the direct line of fire at the moment.
Right.
So I'd say, controlled standard sounds right to me.
Yeah, I guess that I'm probably just going to roll 1. I'm not spending a quirk or anything right now, so I think it's just going to be...
Yeah, and so this is about getting a good position,
right,
that gives you options and opportunity.
Let's see. All right, rolling 1. Oh, that's a 2. That is a failure.
Woof.
That's a failure, right?
That is. The young gun.
We got the drone down.
Yeah.
At least.
That's a success for sure.
I did one thing. I did it.
So, I think that you make your way towards these hills kind of north and west of you, right? The slightly higher ground.
Mm-hmm.
The semaphore is kind of scrabbling up, I think, the side of a slope, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
To a position that would give it a better, just a better vantage point on the town and what's going on around.
Mm-hmm.
And as it's scrabbling up the hill, I think the hill in front of it erupts, right?
Uh-huh.
There's this bright flash of blue light, and then the hill in front of the semaphore erupts as a directed energy weapon is fired and strikes the hill right in front of the semaphore. And just like I said, vaporizes kind of the top of this hill that you were starting to clamber onto. And so I think that this position has gone back. We're gone from control. That brief moment of control is gone. This is dropped back down to risky. And I am introducing a new threat here, which is, I think, as the semaphore kind of scrambles out of the way out of this, I think that there's like a faint wisp of smoke far off in the distance, or like not just smoke, like vapor, right? This kind of blue vapor rising in the air on a far off hill to like the southeast of where you are at. You can see lying on the ground is one of these Concordat armors. This is a Caesura unit. They are like the main kind of foot troop of the Concordats, like mechanized infantry. And like I said, it is this like humanoid mech, a humanoid in a way almost that is like, I think every other mech we've seen on screen so far has had this kind of like layer of mechanical abstraction, right? They move like machines move.
Yeah.
And this Caesura is holding what this giant weapon that I think you realize now is like a rifle, right? It is this long rifle that has I think the barrel isn't a barrel. I think it is like 3 rods projecting forward out of like kind of the heft of the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's like still like these arcs of like this kind of blue energy, like electricity running up and down the kind of like triad of these 3 like kind of like extensions that form the barrel.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It has this kind of like directed energy kind of rail gun, right? This is a Caesura like that has been equipped with like a sniper outfit, and it's fired this shot at you, and then I think you see it gracefully push itself up off the ground and stand, but it stands like a person would stand, right? Just this like fluidity of motion.
Cocky asshole.
And right, like it has the same kind of like monocular, like lilac slit for like a visual kind of input on like very much a human head or humanoid head. I think it has like a flat faceplate. It doesn't have like a face, but it is, like I said, like just a fully like a human designed mech. It recalls like the human form. And then it just starts moving, like sprinting down off the side of that hill and down into the brush, kind of out of sight again, right? It's repositioning out, and it's dropped behind the hill where you just saw it.
Right.
And I'm going to create a 4-segment clock here, which is the Caesura sniper. This is a sort of trained sniper that is now chasing after, or is like working against Carta, and this clock represents its sort of general health and ability to continue fighting against you.
Okay.
And I think we'll probably with that switch back over to Rhodes, right? And we'll come back to the sniper battle in just a moment.
Very Gundam. Love a sniper to sniper duel.
Yeah, you gotta have it, right?
I love it, but I'm scared.
And there are 2 more of those headed west into the town, Carta saw. But they are out of sight, out of mind for the moment.
Oh, okay. So the round shield unit is the same as the Caesura?
Yeah, the Caesura is
okay.
Not to say that we're riffing on anything, but the Caesura is like the Zaku of the Concordat.
Okay.
It is like the basic foot soldier model of armor that the Concordat deploys. And so you'll see Caesuras with like a lot of different
configuration,
configurations, different weapons and outfittings, and because they are this like human design, right, they can grasp a wide variety of different arms and armor. But the Caesura is like the standard like mechanized infantry or mechanized cavalry, I guess. Mechanized cavalry for the Concordat. So let's cut back to Rhodes here, and we'll resume this sniper battle and this facility infiltration in a second. And I think the timelines are basically caught up right now. I think like, off in the distance, Rhodes, you've seen, maybe we see like you seeing for a moment the green flare shooting up in the sky, right? And this is like the moment of like, okay, like the things are in motion. It's kind of on you now to like, keep the distraction up long enough for Des to finish his job.
Yep.
And I think as if to remind you of that, right? You said, like we said last time, the stampede is happening. It's flowing through the town square. This riot has kind of started. Some of the crowd are trying to run away. Some are like tearing down Concordat banners. Some of them are throwing rocks at the Concordat guards that have like amassed on the temple stairs. And then I think like blistering by Rhodes are a few of these like much smaller in scale than what was like firing earlier at Carta. but these blue bolts of energy kind of cut through the air, streaking by you. There's still a few of these, these like quad-legged turrets that we described earlier. There's still a few of these on the rooftops to the north, on the other side of the square, and I think one of them has like sights on the redshift, has decided to be a hero, and is like they've started kind of opening fire in your direction. And I think that that moment of like held breath after the end of that speech has kind of ended now, right? And the chaos is continuing. So Rhodes is there. These turrets have just started kind of opening fire in your direction. What are you doing?
What is up with the woman with the spear?
So like we described last time, there is a woman standing on the kind of like the platform that has been built at the front of the stairs that lead up to this grand temple of the Myriad Way, the Illuminated Temple. And she is wearing, unlike the rest of the Concordat here, she is wearing silver armor. And it's not even like this kind of like, I think when I say, like knight's armor with the Concordat troops, I imagine it's, this kind of techie, very Destiny-esque interpretation of fantasy armor through a sci-fi lens. But she is wearing like a breastplate, like a straight up like knight's armor, right? With these big pauldrons, gauntlets, greaves. I think she has like a half tabard that is hanging down from her waist, that depicts, a very similar scene to the fresco on the temple behind her, right? This humanoid figure made of starlight lifting like a hammer. And she has, like this big silver spear. I think it's like in her right hand, butt resting against the ground, kind of like a boar hunting spear. Long red hair pulled back in like kind of a braid. These Lichtenberg figure lightning scars creeping up her face. I think, are you like taking the moment to like look at what her?
I think so. Like, I don't know if there's like on the on-screen in cockpit, monitor, like you get like the, sensor like dialing in on the lens flare glinting off the armor.
Enhance, right? You enhance like a little closer. I think you can see sparkling almost running along these Lichtenberg figure scars on her face is this kind of iridescent, right? This kind of like iridescent, it almost looks like circuitry or etching or something running along the length of these scars as well, which calls to mind, I think, immediately like the few pieces of orichalcum we've seen so far. And I think she's standing on this platform and she's looking up at the redshift and, stoic, passive face. But I think you can see that her lips have just like slightly curved in a grin. And then, another like round of these like blaster bolts from one of the turrets. I think a few of them hit the redshift, but like this is not damage I'm doing to you. This is just like, right, like you feel like the thud and vibration as this kind of like this thing that is an anti-infantry weapon is being turned against the.
And she's standing like in front of the pillar that is this height that sweeps up to where the projection is emanating from.
Yeah, well, she's standing on like the steps in front of the temple. Yeah. So the temple itself is behind her. The cleric has just been rushed in through the temple doors by like a handful of security guards.
Has it been long enough now for my revolvers to reload, like the cannon?
Yeah, you've got your guns. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's like Redshift like raises one arm up. You can like visibly see the like revolver chamber around, like the big barrel like switches over.
Yeah.
And I think it's just gonna like level one of the revolvers at this spear person in front of the temple there, and I'm gonna like cock the hammer and pull back while she's sort of like staring at me.
You're gonna pull back as in
like I'm gonna ready to like loose a shot.
Okay, she's standing there. Yeah,
seems like I don't know what's about to happen, but I'm
like mean dogging you, just staring up at the redshift.
Sure.
Right?
Maybe it's like maybe this is like sort of just an intimidation move or something. Like maybe there's even a hesitation before I, pull the trigger or something. But barrel down on this person, and maybe like as it's leveled, like open up the comms. Let's see. So I'm sure the sensors picked up like this explosion on the hill from the other Sensor unit shooting at the semaphore, and I think would kind of open it up, and Rhodes cuts across the line, say, "And you, witch,
you're gonna let this beat pass here."
I mean, like I think I'm kind of waiting to see what's happened, but like just for a split second before I probably pull the trigger, I think Rhodes is just like looking to do damage on any of these Concordat, and I think like can spot the pomp and splendor here pretty openly. This would be like a good ceremonial win as I pull the trigger.
It's a big gun. It fires a big round.
True.
As the mech's arm starts to, as the finger, like the trigger finger on the mech starts to pull back, right? She moves. She's moving faster than a person should, than a person can, right? She goes from standing, holding the spear, to throwing it at a speed that I think like Rhodes is barely able to register, even on like the monitors. And I think as the shell leaves the barrel, the spear is flying through the air to meet it. And so I think, if we get like, like anime tight close up, right, on like shell leaving barrel,
right,
as spear is coming to meet it. And the shell has barely exited the barrel when this silver spear strikes it. And then again, I'm like, we're in the anime of Risky Standard right now. This is like a moment where like the frame pauses and it's just the dust whirling around in the air around these two objects. And then there's an explosion. The shell explodes, but at the same time the shell explodes, there is like a burst of like electricity, just like bolts of lightning fly out from this point of contact. I think in the moment, like as this kind of the aftermath of this clears, right? There's no harm here. There's no damage done to the redshift. She is no longer there. She is no longer standing on the steps, but instead crawling over the side of the temple, like kind of like skittering over the roof and pulling itself up over. You see a new armor make its way onto the scene. This is still vaguely humanoid, but where the Caesuras were like just like human shapes, right? This has like a roughly humanoid form, but its legs are reversed. They're like digitigrade, right? Kind of like chicken legs, and it's got this like kind of grossly narrow torso, and it has these long segmented arms. I think it has the same kind of white ceramic armor over black cabled musculature. But I think the arms are like none of this ceramic armor, all this cabled musculature, and they're like twice as long as they should be. And each of them ends in this kind of like curved golden claw. And so this armor is pulling itself up over the top of the tower, coming between two of the spires. And it has, same way that like these arms are this kind of long, flexible limbs. Its neck is like a little too long, also, right?
Horrible.
And it comes forward, twice as long as the neck should be, and it ends in this kind of like flat golden circle with a depiction of a realistic human face in gold.
Oh, weird.
Like, kind of like just like an impassive like icon of a human face. And on its back, it has this big kind of like backpack almost. It's this big filigreed object that it's carrying on its back, which I think we would recognize seeing it as like, we're almost veering into steampunk here, right? But this is like a Tesla coil, like overlaid with this like filigreed cage around it.
Okay, and it's crawling over the roof of the temple?
It's crawling over the roof of the temple, and I think you can catch sight now of where that woman's gone, because she has also started to climb the side of the temple. But it's not like a climb like the way that a regular person would climb up the side of a temple. I think she is like leaping from like parapet to like overhang to parapet, 20 or 30 feet each leap.
On the way.
And I think she leaps in the air, and the curved golden claws of this armor like kind of like lazily swipe through the air and catch her in her final leap, and bring her in one smooth motion towards the chest of this machine, which opens up and accepts her.
Damn.
Yeah. Can I, like, as she's, like, leaping parapet to parapet, can I try and, like, move? My plan here is to try and, like, move quickly to maybe, like, juke left, and then I want to, like, jump and try and, like, shoulder check the, this, like, long-armed machine from the roof, like, as she's en route.
Yeah, I think that's an option. So let's talk about it. That is definitely, I could see maneuver or battle, I guess.
I'm thinking this is like maneuver. My plan here is to like, what are they on, like space shuttles where they're just like side retro rockets, it's just like a quick jump to the left and then using like a jump jet or something to just like push off the ground and like throw my shoulder into this thing to try and topple it off the back while it's sort of hanging off of the roof.
Sure. I think that is, to start with, I'm going to call that risky. And I think that this is limited effect.
Okay.
You are dealing with someone who is a higher tier than you are currently. This is no longer like dealing with like a. And I think Rhodes has seen this before, right? You have fought the Concordat. You know that they are capable of fielding soldiers with fundamental abilities and with fundamental relics and machines that are capable of doing things that, like, a regular person cannot.
Yeah. I mean, I think I could probably tell looking at it that this thing is bad news. Trying to keep her from boarding it. But let me roll the dice on maneuver and we'll see. So I have 2d6.
2d6, risky, and like I said, limited effect to start with.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think what that limited looks like here is that, like, I think you're probably, with a limited success, I think you can delay her from like being ready to like rumble in this machine. I don't know that you're going to be able to like fully stop her from reuniting with
that's
their
fine.
machine.
I'm like stalling for time. So I'll roll 2d6. In the process of this, I'm like trying to get on the roof.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's a 3.
That is a 3 and a 1. Which is rough, but maybe narratively appropriate for our first time meeting a Concordat thaumaturge. So you're using like these like kind of like these boosters to kind of like juke to the right and then shoot forward, right?
Yeah, right. Like kind of cutting over and then like leaping up to the roof to try and throw a shoulder in.
So I think it's when you are in that leap forward that it happens. There's like a sudden charge to the air. And I don't think you noticed it until this like moment that you were in motion, but clouds have gathered overhead. The sky has darkened above the town of Farron's Bluff. As you come through the air from this, this coil on this filigreed coil on this armor's back, a bolt of lightning forms between the redshift and that coil and discharges right on like the exterior of the redshift's armor. And so I'm going to give you the level 1 damage of fried circuits, which you could resist if you like. And I think it's going to like affect the effectiveness of like your sensors and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, level 1 damage fried circuits. And then I'm also going to introduce an 8-segment clock. Do you want to resist this damage before I didn't explain this at the clock?
To resist that, either have to declare gear or exert a quirk, right?
Yeah, you would have to expend quirks. I think it would be 2 quirks, but I have to double check the math. Or you would need to, you would have to. You could expend you could declare armor on the redshift.
Yeah.
And so I think this. I think the other thing this blow does, right, is it like knocks the redshift back into the temple square, like away from the rooftop.
I think I'm gonna take the damage.
So you take the damage. Like I said, this bolt hits the redshift and like knocks it back to the ground, right? Fried circuits. And as this woman is deposited into the mech, her voice echoes out from it in response to you and the redshift. And she says, "I am the Evocator Erides Tremolo, wielder of the Builder's Spark. And I know you, apostate. I recognize that machine. The Hierophant will smile on me when I return this relic to our vaults." And so this 8-segment clock is the Evocator Erides Tremolo, wielder of the Builder's Spark, and thaumaturge of the Concordat.
Oof, quite an entrance. Okay. I think like probably taking a beat here to I think even the machine is like stunned for a second, right? Like the camera cuts, redshift prone on its back on the ground. I think like you can see, electricity kind of like crackling across the chassis or something as it dissipates and, cut to cockpit, like the monitors flicker back on as her voice comes across. I think Rhodes would open the comms with the drovers who are still driving this herd and send a message out to Cygnus to be like, driver, we need to move the herd. I'm going to hold this off as long as I can. I might be out of my depths here. Get the herd to safety.
Like crackling back, Roger that. We're on our way out. Watch our exit. Don't be a hero. There'll be other fights.
Easier said than done.
And I think, as a nice reminder there, I am going to tick the stampede clock once more. I think, time has passed.
Okay.
It's kind of, it's not dying down fully, but like definitely, especially with the arrival of this other armor, I think some of the chaos is kind of starting to dissipate in the town square.
I think like as that happens, as the redshift's kind of like writing itself up, I think Rhodes would speak to the Evocator. Call yourself what you like, but that machine's an abomination, and we're not going back on any shelves. As he, I think, pulls out from the back of the redshift, I think reaches behind the shoulder, and I think draws out like a long... I think it's actually kind of short to begin with, but it sort of starts extending a melee weapon here. I'm going to pull out what I think looks like a spear at first, and I think it sort of like telescopes out from the central kind of handhold. The end of it crackles right to life here, I think. And I'm imagining there's probably on the end of the spear sort of a piece that looks like the heft of a halberd, but instead of it being like a blade attached, I think like it sort of like crackles like an arc flame, right? As like sort of blue and black energy sort of crackles. I'm thinking specifically of like Kirby Crackle here.
Hell yeah.
And I'm going to mark a melee weapon, and I'm also going to use my special move here, which is advanced prototype. So when declaring vehicular gear, you can state that it's experimental. That gear has load reduced by 1. And when you push your vehicle using that gear, you can take increased effect and 1d forward. This is a particle lance that I think is part of the redshift's like armament. As I think like Rhodes kind of draws it out, right? Like taking it in 2 hands. And I think sort of just challenges this Evocator to say, on guard then.
Is this, are you moving in for the...
Yeah, I think like drawn here. Where is she right now?
She's still on the rooftop. You, I think like were blown back by that initial like lightning strike from the filigreed coil. And in this mech, I think she's kind of like crawled forward. So she's kind of like on the forward portion of the roof. I imagine there's kind of like a landing or something here that she's standing on. And like I said, this mech has these like, these kind of like chicken walker legs. I think it's kind of crouched down, right? It's like it would be like 30 feet tall if it ever stood at its full length. I think it's closer to 20 with like the kind of posture it takes. Mm-hmm. And I think these like kind of long arms are kind of like hanging in front of it. These like curved golden claws at the end.
Yeah. And
I think, you know what? Obviously, right? Like one hand like reaches forward, extends, and with one of these curved claws kind of gestures for you to approach.
I'm like going to just charge, right? Like the same kind of like flared like boosters off the rear back here to just like take another charge at this kind of like jump thrust to just drive the spear forward.
This feels like battle to me now.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, first I'll tell you, this is at the start, I think this is risky limited, but if you push yourself, you would get both an increased effect and an increased dice. Yeah,
I'm gonna push, and I think I'm gonna use the quirk of the volatile reactor on the redshift. Rhodes still doesn't really know a lot about the redshift in general, but I think like the redshift being kind of like bipedal, roughly humanoid, I think like very like mecha animated, I think is like fairly sleek, maybe like a little longer in the legs, and has this like ceramic plating, but I think underneath it, usually it's pretty like, gray kind of typical machinery, but I think there's like a like faint glow that starts like emanating from beneath the chest plate as this like volatile reactor starts to kind of spin up here. And I'm thinking of that color that radiation gives off, that like light blue color. I forget what it's called. That's Cherenkov radiation. Like it's this like kind of blue-white glow that starts kind of like spreading from this like chest. And I think at this point it's sort of just contained beneath the like breastplate of the petrichor. I'm sorry, of the redshift as it like kind of lurches to this attack position here.
So I think that brings you up to risky standard, and that'd be 3d6.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ooh, that's a 6.
Nice.
Oh, snap.
Hell yeah.
So I think as you start charging, I think over the comms again, she comes on, and this mech starts to stand up to a little bit more of its full height, and she says something. She says, because she hasn't said what her mech is, right? Behold, the comprehension of grace. And as I think, she leaps forward off of this roof, right? One clawed arm like drawn back. And I think you can see this like electricity arcing off of that coil and running up the length of the arm and then dancing between these golden claws. And clearly the intention is to kind of meet you in the midair and strike you down.
Tight.
And so I think we get, the shot of these two mechs moving, like the red shift coming up through the air, this flare, these boosters behind it. And then this, the comprehension of grace arcing downwards through the air, like one claw coming down.
Yeah, this is like the roof of the Sistine Chapel mixed with like, I'm imagining like that sequence in anime, where it's like background is just like color and line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and then like the sharp line that separates the screen.
Right.
And then I think we get, the red shift landing on the roof where the comprehension of grace was standing, and the comprehension of grace hitting the the cobblestone ground of the temple square. But I think you can see there's now more sparking as this huge gash has like opened up along the side of the armor of the comprehension of grace, and there's just like electricity shooting out, sparking there. And I think we see like the ruined melted edges almost, where like the particle lance has pierced through this like ceramic plating. And I think some of that that effect, that like Kirby crackle, is still like popping off the side of where this thing has been injured, right? Like this, like it's still affecting the reality there. And I will take 2 segments on the clock for Erides Tremolo, wielder of the Builder's Spark,
Nice,
as the red shift makes a strong opening move in this struggle against this powerful foe.
Damn, you already got ticks in your clock.
Aw.
Downrange, truant, where are you?
I'm in.
I'm not doing so hot. Ooh, I'm not doing so hot. I don't know.
Transmission's breaking up.
I'm trying to find cover I can. This, whatever they're shooting at me, I've not seen before. Can't really talk right now. I got to find some cover, and hopefully I can pop off some shots before they see where I'm at next.
If you can get eyes on me, or you're in a hot situation, come into the city. We're stronger together.